Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through every Wednesday night. New topics ignite, join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.
Welcome once again, everybody, to Life Chat Podcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Thank you once again for being a part of my life. Thank you for being a part of our lives. And here we are once again on Wednesday night. I just want to start off by saying, I don't know what's going on, what's going around, but I'm starting to get a little cold and I can feel it in my sinuses. So I'm hoping I can catch this thing and try to nip it at the bud before it gets any worse. So everybody just be careful, wash your hands, stay disinfected up. I guess everybody would say, some other people would say, stay prayed up. Keep everything clean and neat, and hopefully we'll get through this, But tonight's topic, Moving in Purpose, featuring Mr. Zack Bib, my special guest for the night. Come on, Mr. Zack, let's talk about it a little bit. Who is Mr. Zack Bib, and what does moving in purpose mean to you?
Hey, my name is Zack Bib. I'm a Delaware resident, lifelong man in recovery. I was in addiction 20 years. God touched me in Gander Hill. I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was October 19th, 2010. It's the last day I ever picked up. And I got clean in that prison, and God sent me on a journey of recovery. And I'm here today, generational curse broken, went from a consumer to a giver. And I'm just here to help my state that I used to take from. And now I'm here to do everything in my power and surrender to help others recover. That's just a little bit about what I do and who I am, and child of God more than anything.
That was a nice little intro, Zack. That was a nice little intro. So with the topic being moving in purpose, what does moving in purpose mean to you? I mean, I know what it means to me, and once you finish, then I'll give my little tidbit on what it means to me.
Well, every human being is created on purpose by the Creator with a specific goal in mind, a specific purpose for God to carry out through that individual, and nothing can stop it or separate it for completion. So most people don't understand that even in the pain or the trauma or whatever, your gifts are being sharpened, and a lot of us use our gifts selfishly. Without a heart change or an eternal shift, they call it in recovery. But once rock bottom is hit and surrender happens, and life is turned over, then, a journey of recovery starts, where we're just blessed in recovery that we have a process, a path, steps where we have a spiritual awakening. We ultimately find out and can share exact nature of how the things that tried to kill us actually serve us now. And we start to identify who we are in God, our spiritual gifts. And the more contact with God, the more we're aligned with our purpose, the design He has for us to carry out, the more we hear from God, the more we feel God. And that purpose, that power can be completed anywhere you go, really just knowing who you are in God, your gifting, and moving on the assignment that God has given you through that conscious contact, that purpose. In the Bible, it says He'll give you influence of 10 cities. Imagine just simply waking up, praying it in, and going out wherever your feet go. You operate the way you're designed, and God will give you influence the size of 10 New York cities. That's a lot of influence, for every human being has it.
Talk about that a little bit. What does that, what actually does that, what does that mean?
Well,
sometimes we hear things and we say things and other people may not understand
it. Well, our purpose is generally to help others, to not be self-centered, but to be others focused. That's a general purpose, right? But you then, within that general purpose, you have a specific purpose that God wants to carry out through your life, an assignment, so to say, like this podcast and some of the guys you've had on, that thought to help others through this platform with your gifts, the creativity you have. And I admire your willingness, to start pursuing something that isn't self-centered in totality. It might start out as, hey, man, I want to do something for me, but eventually you start to see the fulfillment in helping others with that desire to help self in the beginning. That was recovery for me. I did it because I wanted something, and it gave me something, I'm
glad you mentioned that too. And thank you for that too, Zack. So sometimes I just need a little more motivation, a little more push, and I like accolades too. But since you said that, I was somewhere the other day. It was somewhere, I forgot where I was. Actually, I know where I was at, but I was in Milford, and I was talking with this lady, and she said, "Yeah, I know you. You're that guy with that podcast." And just by her saying that made me feel like, when somebody's listening, people are, engaging. Some people are making some type of impact. So I thank you for saying that. But also with the moving and purpose part, I was thinking about this earlier. What does moving and purpose mean? I was thinking about when I was going to ask you that question and this and that, and I thought about what it meant to me. For me, like you said, moving in purpose, like everything that I've been through, you said all the trauma and stuff we've been through, everything I've been through, the things I still go through is building me up to be a better individual, a better person to hopefully carry on and do some bigger things to help myself along with other people.
Right.
But with that being said, you are a very God-focused individual. For people that may not know who Zack is a very God-focused individual. When I say God-focused, I mean normal conversation coming from Zack is going to be God first. And how did you get to the point of becoming a man of God? Do you remember
Well,
what that was like?
yeah, I remember. I came into recovery through Narcotics Anonymous. I'm still proud NA member. I'm a member of every 12-step fellowship. But I come through NA because it came for me, when I was in Gateway Foundation, and I got involved in Narcotics Anonymous on the fringes and stuff. And I had got everything that they tell you will get back in recovery. They say write a list of what you want first year. And if you surrender and get that spiritual connection, have an awakening, you'll rip that list up. You'll be like, who wrote that? Because you'll be a new creation. You'll be a different person, if you surrender. So I was 6.5 years in. I guess I was hard-headed or stubborn. I had the job, had my son back. I had a lot of behaviors. I hadn't used a substance or cigarettes or anything. Used some people, places, and things, but not substance. I despised it. I had that shift. And I started dating a woman, and she was going to this church. And real short story, like people that know me, it's my testimony, but 3 things happened to me. A guy needed my help who was in Gateway with me, and I wasn't sponsored, man. I wasn't in the middle of the fellowship. I wasn't giving back, and I could have helped him. And I said, nah, he died that night, and he was going to the church that later on that girlfriend, who's my wife now, was inviting me to, and they had a 12-step meeting there. About a week after he passed, a buddy of mine worked with me. I grew up with him, and I paid him. He went out that night, and I didn't have a relationship with God. He threatened to kill himself, and everybody was looking for him. And he sent me a suicide note on my email that night. I was sitting with my girlfriend, and I talked to my brother, who's an NA member too, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe everything will be okay tomorrow." Like wishful thinking. I didn't have that conscious contact, that connection with God, that power of prayer. I didn't have that faith yet. I hadn't really turned things over, and I didn't pray or anything. I woke up the next morning like the brother who picked up and checked out and needed my help. This brother, the cops surrounded him. He didn't have my experience. He stuck the gun in his mouth, blew his brains out. And I remember my girlfriend coming home and saying, "Hey, man, they got a 12-step meeting at the church." And I had been out of fellowship. I hadn't really been in meetings. I hadn't been sponsored in a long time. I hadn't been in step work. And I remember from my spirit, in NA, they describe your spirit as your innermost self. That self-dialogue. And I remember from my spirit when she said they had a 12-step meeting at the church, I remember saying, "All right, God, in my spirit, I'm coming." And I started attending this home group, and I started getting invited to things like coming to church. And I was adamant against church. I thought the church would burn down. I associated church with my past experience with God and religion and Catholicism and in my household and abuse. And I said, man, I don't want nothing to do with that, God. But you know what? I started coming. And I started judging the people in the room, thinking they were faking that joy, faking that peace. But I was attracted to it, and I kept coming. And within 6 months, I got baptized. Me and my son, the son that I had prayed, when he was a baby, that he find his own way to God. Because I got baptized into a faith that I didn't agree with, didn't know nothing about, and didn't want nothing to do with. And so when I walked into church 6 months after attending that home group, the 12-step area was always my comfort zone. I could operate freely there. But that church was different. And when I walked in one Sunday and they were getting baptized, my son had been coming to church with me, and he said, I said, I think I'm getting baptized, man. And I remember my son's a little aloof. He looked at me and he said, "I think I'm getting baptized too." And we went 1-2 in the baptismal pool in 2019. And my life really my purpose, my assignment, everything kind of coordinated with me getting saved, getting around the right people. Within a year of that home group, I started reading my word, and God gave me the assignment that people know today as Firm Foundation Recovery. That's helped 150,000 people plus in 4 states in our region, had maybe 1,000 people served to it. So um, I know a little bit about purpose, but I didn't know what was going on when it was happening. I tell you, if people say they know it's their purpose and they know it's their assignment as it's going on and they're not reflective, they might be insane, you know, because you really don't know what's going on when it's happening, you know.
And why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Because the way all I have to go off is my own experience. I was working and I was living at my house that I live in now. I've been here almost 7 years, and I was staying up till 3 a.m. writing stuff out. I had reached out to my home group. We had like 2 meetings on my back porch because people were dying. This was the year before COVID, and I'm from Delaware, man. And that fentanyl is no joke, and it was killing people left and right. And what was going on, like what we have in our state, wasn't enough. And we were like, man, we got to do something. And we started to. God gave me a vision for a treatment, a recovery center that would help the treatment centers. Um, Treatment was different when I came through treatment, man. It wasn't about drugs. You know, treatment was about getting to the root causes. You know, the pain that you were
The hate.
carrying around and setting it down, man, and getting off drugs and getting in the community, man, and getting back in service. I remember going back in the gateway after I got out, man. I beat the door down 6 months after I got out. I couldn't wait to go back and tell them thank you and serve and give back. Even before I got called to the God relationship with God that I know today, God was using me before I knew it, you know. And you'll meet resistance too when you're walking in purpose. Not everybody's going. When you're a truth teller and you're walking in purpose, people don't want to be around you, man. You know, they don't necessarily want to. They're not used to people that walk in purpose, people that are fearless, and people that are serving God and answering what God's telling them to do. You know, and going where God tells them to do, and go and doing what God tells them to do. Sometimes it's a lonely thing, operating in purpose. You know, you're not going to be everybody's buddy either, you know, and you don't really care either, you know. I know I don't.
That works for me because that's my personality since I was a kid. But I won't get off track. But anyway, to the purpose part. Just another thought. Purpose, moving in purpose, going straight, walking the straight path. Is there a possibility that you could deviate slightly to get back on track? And what is that called?
That's called life. That's called being human. It's kind of like you got to experience using, right? It's kind of like that compulsion, right? When you're using, it runs your life. And when it says jump, you say how high. You'll do anything. You can't turn it off. So when God touches you and turns you around and you start living a life of service and purpose, and you start walking in purpose, if you walk away from it for a day or a minute or a second, it hurts. You know, you're like, I'm sorry, God. And he puts you right, and you go right back to it like you would go back to the drug. You go right back to the assignment. You go right back to helping others. You go right back to where you know you're supposed to be, your new home of others focus. You start to focus on others. And the big book and stuff, it tells you when you struggle, call someone else, focus on helping someone else, take your mindset off yourself. Whenever I am focused on myself, my own worries, my own concerns, focused on how it affects just me, I'm now not walking in my purpose. I'm not living a life of purpose because purpose is never about me. It's about being used for something bigger than me, you know, outside of me, you know. So I don't really get caught up. Whenever I'm focused on myself, you know, it's a bad place to be. I get right back to helping mission minded. I got a pad sits by my two-way prayer. Like I wake up in the morning, do prayer and meditation. I write a list every day. If it's not a selfish thought, I write it down. That's my to-do list for God every day. And I got a lot of stuff on that list. So if I get selfed up at any time, I got plenty of stuff to do.
Well, I wanted to get two things. One thing is I wanted to also add to that. The reason I asked that question is because a lot of times, in the recovery process, or maybe it's just in life in general, a lot of people think that it's not possible, think it to be impossible to deviate from that straight path and jump back on track and continue to go forward. A lot of people think that that's not possible. I hear people say that, just like the terms relapse. You know, in order for there to be a relapse, there's two letters in front of the word lapse. So those are two different things, lapse and relapse. One is, we're not gonna go into the full definition, but there's a difference in lapse and relapse. And sometimes people think that I did this or I had this thought, now I got to start all over. Like the world is about to end because I had this thought or I did this.
There goes the self part I was talking about.
That part. Instead of just staying focused, get your focus, regain your footing, and just keep going forward. And things will still be what things are going to be. Things are going to be what they were designed to be initially.
What I could share with you on that is real simple. Like, you got to get around people. Like, my suggestion would be get around people that move that way, that know who they are in God. And that's intimidating. And when I was in recovery, these people tried to help me all the time in early recovery, but I didn't want nothing to do with them because they could actually help me change, like they could see stuff good and bad about me long before I could see it about myself. Man, when I was in treatment, they told me I would never make it. They said, Zach, you know it all. You can't be helped because you know everything. That's what they would tell me. And they weren't wrong. And that's why it took me so long to get humble and so long to come back to a relationship with God and so long to really give of myself, because I thought I had all the answers and really I didn't have any of them. I just thought I did, and it kept me blocked off from living a life that people define as a life beyond your wildest dreams, because it's no longer about me anymore. It's the best life I've ever had, The
life beyond your wildest dreams.
Your wildest dreams.
I know when we first came in and to hear that and hear the life beyond your wildest dreams, first thing that came to my mind was like on an island with the palm trees and this.
Right.
Nah, that's not what it is at all. It's just a life. This is what it means to me. A life of minimal stress. I'm gonna say minimal stress. But even in stress, I learned I can deal with things better with a clearer mind. I can handle situations better. Things seem to come my way. Why? Because I'm not putting myself in front of that train anymore. Situations going to come up. I might do some things, say some things, but things are not driven to be a negative coming from this angle anymore. But also you started mentioning something earlier, and I think we should get into that just a little bit. You mentioned about you mentioned about helping other people with a should I just say agency? Foundation. We're going to talk about foundation.
Right.
I want you to talk about it because some people may want to research and find out and be a part of or join.
Firm Foundation Recovery is a peer-driven nonprofit. I mean, it's community-sustained nonprofit, which means we have all community sustainment, like even small grants. We've never received a federal state grant, not that we haven't written on them, but really it's just a service-based nonprofit, 12-step God-centered. We do community events for culture change, and we've done like 33 community events since initiated. During COVID, we needed to get together and gather, and God rapidly gave us our event structure, which we're trying to expand downstate. That was things that we wrote grants on to expand these venues, these annual 6 events for family and community to gather and experience recovery and get connected to resources together in Kent and Sussex County. We're just primarily in Newcastle County. And we do 9 service-based initiatives inside and outside treatment centers to reach those in need of recovery or those seeking recovery. With resources, literature, community of recovery, 12-step initiatives, stuff to do with people getting off of maintenance drugs, people that we meet and we help connect them wherever they're at on their journey in treatment to recovery, seeking recovery. If they're seeking recovery and they want to get clean and give back, we have somewhere for them to serve and get connected to in initiatives. And then our primary purpose is constructing the first of 3 54-bed residential recovery centers post-treatment for men and women. So 30 men, 24 women, free, 3 to 6 month facilities where people will get to the 8th step of their process in 12th step, go out to servitude living where they'll have to serve in one of these initiatives in their church, in their community, 3-4 hours a week, and work like an Oxford House model, but service has to be prioritized in their recovery. And then after they do that for 6 months, they'll come back and graduate. So the graduates of that future residential recovery model, the residential recovery center, the graduates of that program would be 9 to 18 month graduates, depending on their level of care. And that meets the brain science for addiction. It takes 9 to 18 months for the brain to heal, depending on your ethnicity, your race, how long you've been using, what you've been using, your gender. So that's just the physical part. than the mental and spiritual part. You know, it's a relearning. It's really surrendering all and relearning how to live a spiritual way of life and how to be the spiritual leader of your community, your family. And we want these people to come, the worst of the worst, that can't get rights, to come when this facility is open and then go back out and serve inside treatment centers to carry that 12-step God separated strategically through big pharma and insurance from treatment settings. We believe in God reliance, not person or institution reliance for profit. We believe God reliance for spiritual awakenings and spiritual growth in communities and families. And we see it happening all around us. Without a facility, God has built a structure of principle-based recovery in our state. And we're beginning to unify like we never have. So anybody can get involved. You know, we do intervention. We do a lot of stuff for families and communities. You can check everything out on our website, but we just had our 7th annual dinner, and 7th year is prophetic year. That's God's year of completion. So praying that his plan is to complete the first facility, at least by the end of the year, but who knows what God's doing. We're just trying to serve.
Well, I had a question. Number one, you know, I always keep 2 questions. Number one, number 2, I always keep 2 questions. Number 1, how can people contact contact you? Is it there a call, a hotline, something, some type of agency, a number they will call? I don't know.
No, we partner with treatment centers and detoxes throughout Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey. So if they need, they'll see us inside institutions. But if you need intervention or stuff like that, or you want more information, you can reach out. There's an email on firmfoundationrecovery.org. You can go on Firm Foundation Recovery on social media, Facebook or Instagram. And if you connect or message on there, somebody will get right back to you. My personal number is 302-613-8237. Call me twice. If you call me twice, I know you need me. I'll call you right back, or I'll answer on the second ring. I'm always available. My date night is Tuesday night. You have to keep a date night if you're married. So try not to call me Tuesday unless it's an absolute emergency, but I will answer on Tuesday because my wife is in service too. She sponsors women. She's sponsored. She's in recovery and she serves God, so she knows.
Date night. It must be nice. It must be nice. But anyway, see, that date night just threw my whole thought process off. No, I got it. I got it back. So with everything that you do now, as far as assisting other people, helping other people get where they need to be, and you mentioned earlier about you're located in Newcastle County, but is there any help, any assistance that you offer for Kent or Sussex?
Absolutely. I mean, Strength and Recovery is a Christian 12-step home group. That home group that I mentioned that God put me in through tragedy, that became triumph for me and for my state. That 12-step group is now at 3 locations, 2 in Newcastle County, but 1 Monday night, 7 p.m. at Jones Hall, which is in Georgetown, which is kind of an epicenter of early recovery, especially down there in Georgetown with so many recoveries and the like down there. So it's more of a newcomers meeting. But we are doing more events downstate, and we have events stuff planned down there. We partner with Fishers of Men in Seaford, but their houses are in Seaford. Fisher of Men is 2 men's houses and a woman's house, and they're always looking to grow. We really partner with any recovery home in the state, as long as we have access, as long as we're allowed to come and go freely, and to sponsor and to connect and to bring. Not every organization in the state or every recovery home is willing to allow Strength and Recovery, Firm Foundation, or even 12-step into their program. As odd as that might sound, that they want recovery for their clients or the people that live there. And then some are like Oxford House is diplomatically run. So I'm an Oxford House alumni. Oxford House, you can come and go freely. I mean, there's no restriction on sponsorship, stuff like that. It's more the houses where they get state assistance and stuff. Some of those programs don't really allow us to come and go freely, but we partner with pretty much almost every recovery program in the state, with the exception of a couple.
All right. So that's a lot of, you just gave out a lot of information, Zach. That was a lot of information, but it's needed information, much needed information. You know, my last thing, this time I only got 1, not 2. This time I got 1. New person just coming off the street. New person just seeking help. Just you get the phone call. What's the advice?
It depends on, I could give you a couple examples. I mean, that vary. I mean, brother of mine, Doug, was at our dinner, 4 years clean, I got Doug's call through the church. He reached out to the church for help. They put him in touch with me. Doug actually never went to detox. He got connected in the Oxford House. He surrendered, started going to meetings, got sponsored. Doug's on his 11th step in NA. He's doing phenomenal. I keep in contact with him all the time. He's my brother. He come to my home group, and he didn't really go the treatment route. I got many other guys. I got another guy sponsor now that I met in Banyan. This is typical. I met him in treatment in one of our outreaches. Sometimes when they get the call and they're looking for help, I just direct them to go somewhere where I'll see them. So, the typical 12-step call is, hey, are you ready to go? If they're calling me, they know they need help, or if their family's calling them, they're pretty much surrendered. And you know how that goes. And we want to connect them to an institution where we know we're going to see them, and we're going to see them along the journey. One thing Firm Foundation and I do, as privileged to serve my state through the foundation, is I get to see them along their journey in institution, and as they transition back into sober living, transition back to their family, wherever they go to sober living. So my goal is to get them somewhere where I'll see them. Kirkwood Detox, Banyan, Bowling Green, you name institutions where we have relationships, where we see people more. I don't really say one treatment center is better than the other. I just go where we're allowed to come and go freely. Quilla, places like that where we'll see them. The recovery community will be more saturated with the 12-step message, more likely to, engage with us in there. And then wherever they're going, their next step, we try to encourage them to go to a place, transitional living, sober living, another surrender, longer term program, higher level surrender, higher level of freedom. And then while they're away, we want to talk to their family. We want to help their family understand what's best for them for their recovery. And it may not be coming, usually never it's going straight home. It's getting connected to a new family in recovery so they can be part of their biological family and be most effective. So we kind of walk with them, man. If they call me, I've got guys that I've been connected to that struggle for years, and I got guys that have been flourishing for years. It's just the nature of our disease of addiction and alcoholism, man. It's it's a difficult thing, and a higher level of surrender, higher level of freedom. So I always encourage that from the rip, but whatever they're ready to do, we get them connected to. Usually if I get a phone call, it's because they need to get separated from the street, from drugs and alcohol, and we know we can get them where they need to be.
It was a good thing to hear you mention about keeping the family connected with what's going on with the individual. Because I don't think I heard anybody mention that part about a lot of times you just hear go to rehab, go out, go to rehab, go out. Instead of, I didn't hear it. I don't think I ever heard I mentioned it about keeping the family connected and up to date with what's going on with the individual. So
Well, you've got people on here that are very gifted at what they do. Like Matt, I've done an intervention with Matt. I think me and Matt have never failed in an intervention to get the person to go to treatment, but the family gets involved and starts to get involved with what's going on. And a lot of times it doesn't help at all. Like I'd say almost never does it help, because the family's going to operate the way they know how to, and they couldn't help them to begin with. If they could help them, they wouldn't be calling us, So it's difficult for the family to understand.
One thing most families going to say is, just quit. Why don't you stop? And,
they don't know. I'm sorry. So it's generational, or it's intergenerational, which means it's an unseen problem, and they don't know what they're doing. The person doesn't really know what they're suffering from. They just know the unmanageability, internally and external unmanageability. Like we get to the point of suicide. So we're slowly committing suicide usually, but we get to the point where we're ready to check out. So if we're going to do what's right for the person or the family should think we're crazy a little bit, and the person we're helping should definitely not want to take the suggestion. But from a deeper place of surrender, their spirit, they usually do. And when they start to surrender, good things start to happen. The family too. I just left. It's no coincidence in the kingdom. I just left. I stopped by a home group member. A home group member is really struggling to the point where this is rare, where we got to almost not ask him to come around because he's so in his addiction. He's in behavior, and he's really in a bad spot. And we got to set boundaries as a community of recovery with this individual. And I said, man, I got to go stop by and see this dude's dad, man. So I was up by his house, and I was doing something, and I stopped and I talked to the dad, and he was hesitant to let me in. And when he let me in, we started talking, and we got a rapport about how much we cared for this individual. And I said, look, when he hits bottom or when it gets so bad for you that you can't do nothing else, you call me and the guys and we'll come do intervention and we'll take him where he needs to go, because it ain't going to get no better. This thing is progressive. It's a progressive illness. The unmanageability continues to accelerate till you hit a bottom. So we know that this brother, he has no power. He's powerless. And we know he's in the grips of something and he's going to hit bottom. And we want to make sure the family knows, hey, call me. When you can't take it no more, call me. We'll come sit down with him, you, your daughter, him, and we'll love on him and we'll get him where he'll have a breakthrough. Because in the spirit, we'll love on him, tell him the truth, and we'll break him down, and he'll be able to go get some help, get separated from this thing.
Tell him the truth. Okay, that hurts. That hurts. That definitely hurts. If hearing the truth won't get us to move, some there's not too many other things with.
Hey man,
let me rephrase
experiential
that.
truth, right?
If it won't
Experiential
move,
truth.
get
I've been
me to
him.
move.
I've been unhelpable. I've been not being able to hear or see anything. The veil wasn't removed yet. I've been hurting my family. Kill me. My mom would take me to get. I could guilt trip my mom into taking me to get Xanax so I wouldn't have a seizure. I could steal out her purse and she would still let me stay there. So I know what it's like for families, because I know what it's like when I was using and my whole family was using. So, we're called paying the purpose. We're called to help people, because we have an experience for it. Like, God doesn't waste a hurt. Like, that guy that's struggling now will be the guy moving in purpose later on and be uniquely equipped to help those people that come from his experience, that family dynamic. So, the ones that are being attacked now, they're really the chosen people. They're not just called. They're not just called to a better way of living. They're chosen because they've been through so much stuff that they'll be able to help so many more people. And we know that in recovery. So the more messed up you are, the more effort you're going to get from us. We're always going to be available, because we know when God really does touch you and you start to turn around, and you start to help others, man, you got a well to draw from, that can really help. That influence I was talking about in the beginning. When people see you get clean and start helping others, they'll be like, man, I know that was God, because I remember him. He was beyond all human aid.
Ain't no way. Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
That's what they say about me. They say, man, I remember when you was messed up. Something happened to you.
Something
Something.
happened. But
Something happened.
anyway, okay, Zach. So we're gonna wrap this up for tonight, Zach. But I just want to say thank you again, Zach, for being my guest on tonight, man. Life Chat Podcast. I appreciate you. You shared a whole lot of information, and I'm in belief that the individuals that are going to watch this episode later tonight, whether on YouTube or Facebook, will definitely get some information, a couple tidbits, a couple nuggets, get some information that could possibly help them or a family member. I'm almost 100%. I'm positive. I'm positive. So just one more time, can you get just a little bit more, just your contact information?
So my contact information, my phone number, if you need me for anything, recovery related, treatment related, intervention related, is 302-613-8237. Anything related to the foundation or home group, you can reach out to the foundation at firmfoundationrecovery.org or on Facebook. Same thing with my home group, Strength and Recovery. It's SIR413.org. And that's any compulsion, any behavior, any family member affected. It's an open meeting. The information on meeting times and locations is at SIR413.org. A lot of times people don't know until they know. So you can come to that meeting, check out the foundation, or contact me anytime, day or night.
Thank you once again, Zach. And I'll be chatting with you in a little bit. But for everybody that's been watching tonight, thanks for being a part of the episode. Thanks for watching Life Chat Podcast. Do not forget, like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, make sure you go to Amazon, purchase my new book, Fire in the Belly, 1995. But anyway, yeah. Just check that out. And I'll be getting back with y'all. Thanks for being a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Y'all be safe, be blessed. Have a great night.
God bless.